What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another ASC Top 10 Prospects in the 2021 NFL Draft video. And today I'm going to be covering the quarterback class. And this class is very interesting because it is utterly stacked at the top of the draft class. But after that, top five, well, it's a bit rough. Everyone seems to have differing opinions on after Trevor Lawrence, who the next top of the crop are. I myself have gone back and forth a ton on these players and these prospects because their grades are very close. And I changed a lot. I saw some things and I finalized my rankings now. I'm putting it in stone. Here are the categories that I am going to be assessing each of these players on. Their scores will be on screen. All those scores add up to a score out of 100. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to All Sports Culture here on YouTube and follow our Instagram at All Sports Culture. We just hit 50K. Thank you so much. Now let's jump right into my top 10 quarterbacks in the 2021 NFL Draft. Let's just jump right into number 10 with Shane Buechele from SMU. Just overall, he's solid. I mean, he does nothing terribly. I mean, his arm is pretty lacking, and I like his accuracy. His decision making is pretty solid as well. I was impressed by his pocket presence. I really was. And, his mechanics are kind of shaky in his lower body. Just overall, he's an all right prospect. I mean, I don't really have a ton to say about him. He's an average athlete. He doesn't give you a ton of upside. He could be a solid backup in this league for sure, but I just don't see much interest here. I'm going to value guys with more athletic upside traits that are lacking in the mental department more than I am the pretty solid guys that don't give you a ton of upside, if that makes sense. And that's why Jamie Newman comes in at number 9. Jamie Newman is a mess mentally. I mean, his processor is brutal. If you want to talk about a first read quarterback, because a lot of people are throwing that on Justin Fields, Jamie Newman is a first read only quarterback, and it's painful to watch sometimes. He has traits. His arm is really nice. That's all I can really say about him. Everything else is pretty all right. His accuracy is brutal. He overthrows so much. And yeah, you went to Wake Forest and you opt out, and it's just, I was really underwhelmed when I watched him. Let's just say that. And then on to number 8, we have a Heisman candidate, Kyle Trask from Florida. And this is kind of similar to Shane Buechele. Mentally, he's pretty solid. It's just his athleticism is brutal. It's brutal. He's got the lowest athletic score out of any quarterback in this class for me. His processor, his accuracy, his decision making, all that is pretty solid. His pocket awareness too, it's pretty decent. Physical traits, there's just not any upside with him. You know exactly what you're getting when you draft Kyle Trask. Similar to that is Davis Mills from Stanford, who comes in at number 7, who, similar to Shane Buechele, all around is just a pretty good prospect in general. I mean, his athleticism isn't that great. It's pretty average at best. I was surprised with his mechanics. I think he's all around. He's got a nice release. His footwork is pretty solid. If you draft him, I think he could definitely start some games for a team and win some games. I don't see him as a long-term starter in this league, but if you need someone to slot in for a bit, you could definitely have that happen. Sorry that I'm running through these guys really quick. There's just not much to talk about. And then at number 6, Kellen Mond from Texas A&M. There's a Kellen Mond cult out there. Even though I have him as QB6, I am not a part of that cult because people like Chris Sims have him in their top 3. You know, in the short to intermediate game, he's pretty okay with his accuracy. I was surprised with how good he managed the pocket. What he really needs to work on is his throwing mechanics. I mean, his footwork is rough. But otherwise, out of this crop of players from 6 to 10, besides Newman, he has the most athletic upside. And I think he's further along mentally than Newman, for sure. I mean, his processor is pretty decent. He progresses through his reads sometimes, and he does well, but otherwise I'm not like huge on him. If you want to spend like a 4th round pick on him, I'm totally down for that. Don't bank on him being your franchise guy. Now we are getting into what you're all here for. That's the top 5. And I'm going to start off, obviously, with Mac Jones from Alabama, who I have at an 83 grade, which is almost a 12-point jump from quarterback 6 to quarterback 5, which is absolutely hilarious when you take into account everything. And Mac Jones genuinely really surprised me with how much more I liked him than I thought I was going to like him. I thought I was going to view him as a 3rd round prospect, but I was genuinely impressed with his accuracy, which I think his deep ball accuracy is really underrated. His arm talent also, it is pretty decent. Like, he can sling that thing pretty well. You know, he's an Alabama system. Obviously, you're going to have production if you're a Bama quarterback. His best aspect of his game is his pocket awareness. I mean, he manages the pocket excellently. Just once he gets outside of it, he really provides no value. And just everything technical about his game is very impressive. I could definitely see him being a day 1 starter for an NFL team and winning games right out the gate. You're just lacking that upside with him, like the guys in front of him give you. If you want to take him in the 1st round, I am totally down for that. Like a team like the Patriots that just wants a guy who can win you games right away, I think he could do it. I think he could definitely be a long-term starter in the NFL if he's got the right team around him. I wouldn't hate a team using a top 10 pick on him. I could definitely understand that thought process, even though I have him graded as a round 1 to 2 prospect. He's still worth it. He's a really good prospect. It just sucks that he's limited athletically. That's why he's at number 5. I did a last second rewatch of 3 of the guys in the top 4 to finalize my grades on these guys, because all of these guys were very close together. You kind of saw that in my last mock draft. I had them all go in sequential order because I feel very strongly about each of these prospects. So coming in at number 4, this might come as a shock to you guys. It's Zach Wilson from BYU. Now, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you would know that I was a campaigner for Zach Wilson early on. I was a campaigner for him at quarterback 2 for about 2 months now, before it really caught traction in the past month. I even had him at quarterback 2 in my last mock draft. Now, let me just say this. I still really like Zach Wilson. It's just these other 2 guys, they just jumped ahead of him because I saw some things that I didn't see before. Obviously, what you're getting with Zach Wilson is his off-platform and arm angle ability is the best in the class. That is undeniable. He can make the most ridiculous throws at any spot on the field, at any angle. It's utterly insane, some of the throws this guy can make. But for every one of those throws he makes, he has one boneheaded mistake happen where he makes an error in judgment. You know, he'll miss a guy deep down and then he'll take the easy check down and the defense will capitalize on it. Or he'll take the wrong read and go the other way. It just happens for him sometimes. And I don't think he is the best arm in the class. I don't think he's the best athlete out of the top 4 guys. I think the other 3 guys ahead of him are better athletes than him. I will say this, his processor is excellent. It's definitely one of the best in the top 10 for sure. Now, one thing that really stood out to me in both watches from him is his mechanics. They are really, really rough. And I mean this. His footwork is kind of sloppy in a lot of aspects, and he throws with this wide-ass base where his hips are so spread out. They're not square at all. It's awkward sometimes, and you're really going to need to shore those things up for him. And I definitely think he's probably got the lowest floor out of the top 5 of these quarterbacks. But if you groom him right, he could be the best quarterback in the NFL. He could. I'm seeing these things where his accuracy is kind of up and down. His pocket management is hilariously fun to watch. It's just, I kind of see these flaws to his game, and that's kind of soured me a little bit on him. I think the hype for him is getting a little too out of hand because I'm starting to see Zach Wilson QB1ers. No chance. From a mental standpoint and a consistency standpoint, he is not near that. He could get near that, but as of right now, I just don't see that. But he's still got an 87.5 grade. That is a really damn good grade. He's got a ton of upside. similar to the guy at number 3, actually similar to all these guys. Trey Lance is at number 3 with an 88.0 grade. And his grade didn't change at all during this rewatch. Zach Wilson just dropped a half point shy of quarterback 3, which is pretty funny. My opinion didn't change on him much because I've already seen everything I'm needing to see from him. His arm talent is undeniably great. I mean, his decision making is pretty good overall. It's just he does get away with some things. I mean, he surely should have had some balls picked off that weren't. I think him as a runner, he is excellent. Trey Lance's release is so fast. It's like he's a guy in a duel in the Old West. It's so ridiculously fast. He does have some things to shore up. His processor specifically. Overall, I just really like what I've seen from him. I think his athletic upside is there. I think he's shown enough to prove himself to be a pro at the next level. Although he should sit at the start of it, I see more here mentally and technically as compared to Wilson. That's why Trey Lance is at number 3. And to no surprise, Justin Fields is my quarterback 2. So many draft fans in the past month have just been giving Justin Fields unwarranted slander. And all of them are saying the same thing. He's a first-read quarterback. He's slow in the pocket. Shut up. His processor, I'm actually going to deem a lot of that to the scheme. A lot of the plays I've seen people criticize him on, how the defense is playing it, he's reading it pretty well. He's got the best arm in the class, bar none. He's the best thrower of the football in the class, bar none. This guy can hit anywhere at any point of the field. As compared to Zach Wilson, Justin Fields is such a fantastic in-structure thrower, but he's just as good out of structure. And I utterly just don't understand the slander that comes his way. You can use him in so many ways, and his pocket ability is still really good. His decision making is still pretty sharp. I mean, everyone just tosses it to the Indiana and the Northwestern games. Those are two of the best defenses in all of college football last year. You can't allow a player to struggle? Like what? Zach Wilson had his fair share of games where he struggles as well, but it was against such lower levels of competition. It's actually insane the amount of hate Justin Fields gets for being really good at his job. I mean, yes, his processor isn't like the greatest thing in the world, but he's still good and he can get better at it. His mechanics overall, really good. I mean, yeah, his release is a little tad slow, but who cares? He throws that thing magnificently. Justin Fields is a top 5 talent in this class. I don't understand the hate that comes his way at all. He is such a special talent. He's an elite athlete. He's an exceptional hard worker. He's a great leader. He's the best thrower of the ball in the class. He may not be able to get those off-balance throws that Zach Wilson can do, but he is so much more consistent than him. And he's done it at such a higher level. You know, what Justin Fields is going through right now reminds me a lot of what Deshaun Watson was going through in 2017. Deshaun Watson was my quarterback 1 that year. I loved him. So many people started to question himself and what he was doing, but that's just what Clemson's offense dictated, and people gave Mitchell Trubisky the benefit of the doubt. That's exactly what's happening with Justin Fields and Zach Wilson right now. I see the parallels completely. I just do. That's all I'm going to say on that. Justin Fields is in cement quarterback 2 now for me. I've been thinking about it for a long time now, but I'm finally just committing to it because I saw the light of day today. I've been completely insane, and I, for some reason, bought into this stupid narrative about him. I'm just shutting that off. He's the second best. But to no surprise, Trevor Lawrence comes in at number 1, and he has a 96.5 grade. The closest to that was Joe Burrow last year, who I think had a 94.5. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, do I really need to talk about him at all? You guys have seen him play for the past 3 years, seen how good he is each of those years. I don't feel the need to talk about Trevor Lawrence. He's spectacular. He's the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck came out in 2012. He's the best player in the draft, and he rightfully should go first overall to the Jaguars because there's no reason he shouldn't. Well, that's going to be it for my top 10 quarterbacks in the 2021 NFL draft. What did you guys think of my list? Be sure to leave yours in the comments down below and tell me if I'm stupid or not. I'm going to try and not make any more adjustments to it. That's why I'm putting this video out now. So I'm going to force myself not to anymore. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought. And also, while you're at it, be sure to like the video and subscribe here to All Sports Culture on YouTube. Join the Justin Fields Quarterback 2 Hive because it's falling out of faith for some reason. Thank you all for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one.